Welcome to the Tech Sales Funnels podcast, where we dive deep and answer the ultimate question: how did you hack into tech sales? Each week, we bring you inspiring stories, proven strategies, and insider tips from top performers who've cracked the code to break into tech sales and thrive. Whether you're just starting out, making a career pivot, or ready to level up, this is your go-to space for actionable advice and real-world success stories. Let's crack the code together, because hacking into tech sales isn't just a dream, it's your next move. Now with your host, the founder of Tech Sales Funnels and the tech sales hacker himself, Dayvisson Da Silva.
Welcome everyone to the Tech Sales Funnels podcast. This is Dayvisson Da Silva, the tech sales hacker, your host, and today I'm super excited for this conversation. I want to introduce you to Iva. When I met Iva for the first time, it was in a partner conference or network event here in Dallas, and I just sat down by her, no agenda, nothing. We just started talking, and then I was so impressed with her background, the things that she's doing, and then we naturally quickly connected. And then as I started this podcast, I was like, oh, eventually I should bring Iva to speak, and here she is today. So I want to bring her to stage, and she's going to talk a little bit about herself, and I'm going to dive into what she's doing and then what's over there for all the tech sellers who are listening to the podcast today. So welcome, Iva.
Hi, hello, Davidson. Thank you so much for having me. Excited
Yeah,
to be
thank
here.
you. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I have interviewed about 30, I would say 30 people on this podcast, but your background is unique. It's very, very go to market and thought authority. I'm gonna let you speak, but how about we start like very high level? Who's Iva? Like, right, for someone who never seen your
High
LinkedIn.
level. All right. Yeah, Eva high level and Eva in her heart is a writer. Okay. I'll always be one. So I started in journalism actually. I was a trained journalist and I spent a decade in that sector. And then I kind of switched to marketing and stumbled upon a very exciting world of Microsoft partners. And this is how I ended up in tech, really by chance, honestly. I was never planning. I didn't know anything at the time about tech or Microsoft. Like I was puzzled with all the abbreviations, all the words, all the cloud things at the time. But I learned quickly, started to work for agencies and as a freelance writer at that point. And so, yeah, I learned, and this is where I kind of developed my own thing. Right now, I kind of named myself the GTM Content Lead, meaning I lead different campaigns, different programs that lean onto different, go-to-market methodologies. So depending on the chosen pathway, what I try to do, I always try to follow the sales process really closely as we kind of define, what kind of content and what kind of visibility are we creating here. The most important, I would say, part of my job in that process is to ensure there's quality content that's gonna reach, the customer, the prospect, with the right stuff that they're interested in, depending on in which stage of the awareness they are at right now. And the second thing is building trust. And this is why I think, this is why I actually named it Go to Market, because it's kind of a broader, let's say, spectrum of things that I do than, let's say, just content marketing or just copywriting or just any of the other marketing segments that we're kind of accustomed to hearing. So I would say it aligns a lot of the different things to, again, support the sales process.
I love that. So I wanna paint a picture here for people who are listening for the first time, or trying to understand this tech sales world. So there are the big tech organizations out there that everybody hear about it. The Microsofts and the Googles and the IBMs. So she specifically worked with Microsoft. Now underneath there is a ecosystem that is almost non-existent for the regular people, which is the partner world.
Yeah.
And then so Eva is helping is working with those partners to help them basically efficiently go to market and sell and represent Microsoft. That's basically like at the underneath level, right? Now, not many people know about. Can you tell me a little bit about this partner ecosystem that I feel like not a lot of people know about it. Even like I didn't know, you didn't know, right? Until you. Can you tell a little bit more about that discovery?
Well, it's a good question, and I get a lot of questions from my marketing sector where people go and ask, "That's a really weird niche. Like, what do you mean by Microsoft partners?" I'm saying so. There are like a 500,000, I think, companies in this world
Wow.
that build on Microsoft technologies. And this whole vast ecosystem is called the Microsoft Partner Channel System. So you have, independent software vendors, which basically build their IP on top of Microsoft platforms. You have resellers, value add resellers, VARs, a lot of abbreviations, by the way. You have system integrators that work directly, for example, with the ISVs. You have MSPs, which are managed service providers. So you have a lot of these different services that are all kind of wrapped around, like I said, the Microsoft technology stack. And then within, those kind of segmentation of partners, you actually have those that are more kind of focused on different technology, different product stacks. So, for example, Dynamics 365, you have there's a very live and interesting community wrapped around the D3 365. Then you have M365. So, all the stuff that we use, like Outlook and Word and Excel and everything, that all belongs to the M365 product stack. So they have their own community a little bit. Then Azure, which is, all about the cloud, the Microsoft cloud, then and the infrastructure, they have their own community. So they're like even sub communities in the Microsoft partner ecosystem community. So it's a very complex
Mm,
world, very interesting world. But what I liked about it the most was, well, the people. When I met the
mm,
people, I kind of made a lot of interesting connections and networked a lot. I'm connected to the International Association of Microsoft Channel Partners, which is their
mm,
largest independent kind of group and association where I'm at different committees and I work with those people and I made a lot of friends there. Honestly, there's such an interesting group. And the second thing I liked about that ecosystem is that they have a lot of well-established companies. And this is what I like. I'm all about, taking it slow, building a legacy.
mm,
Like I don't like the hustle, what do you say, move fast, break things kind of thing, like the startup world. I did have some experience with the startups.
yeah.
Weren't that good, honestly, but that's maybe just me. So what I like about Microsoft Partners is that they're, established businesses. They don't exist from
Mm,
yesterday. They have a certain legacy that they're building year after year. So, and for marketing, I would say in sales too, it's really important, to
yeah,
have
they
consistency. It's easier. Yeah.
yeah, complex environments, complex products. Sounds like you like to navigate through those deep waters and try to figure out, how to fix it, right? And
No, it took me forever, honestly. It's really, no, it's really complex. You don't get a lot of, and like I said, all of them have their specific problems, their specific,
yeah,
challenges that they're handling. Of
it,
course, there are different sizes across all these different segments. So
it's crazy.
it's
Yeah, like before
crazy.
working in tech, I had no idea this world existed, right? So
Yeah,
it's partners, and there's the industry, and there's the product layers, and you have to navigate through. It's like on this freeway, like with all those directions, and you need to see where you're going.
exactly. Like on a freeway, exactly. It's just all the different things. Plus, I would say in tech sales and marketing, general kind of notion of people is to sell products, right? The B2B
Mm,
SaaS playbooks are kind of most popular there. So they push out certain strategies and certain manners in which they suggest all of us to follow. However, Microsoft partners sell a lot of services, and this is a whole different animal, a whole different
mm,
animal. It's almost not entirely, but almost different as it's B2C and B2B. Because and then it's different when you sell to an enterprise or to an SMB. So a lot
Wow.
of nuances and complexities in there.
I know you
Yeah,
lost some people here, but I get it. Everything, 100% what he's saying.
yeah.
Um, I want to dive a little bit into the marketing and sales. You kind of start tapping a little bit there. You're in marketing long enough to know that with sales, sometimes there's a clash. Like they
Oh
don't give
yeah.
as much value to market. Like, hey, you need the people to market so you can sell better. And then the marketing sometimes get upset with the sales people. Does that happen in tech sales? Do you have like a? Can you tell your personal
Yeah.
experience? Yeah.
Well, honestly, that depends in my experiences, and that's another, I would say, typical thing for Microsoft partners. I used to work with some bigger partners, but a lot of the smaller and mid-sized ones, and they frequently don't have marketing departments at all, or just like one person that's wearing 100 different hats. And that's where I actually saw that the smaller the company, the better that interconnection between sales and marketing actually exists, because
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes you have this one or two people taking care of it. So they need to work together, right? As the
Yep.
company gets bigger, those people kind of like, yeah, we're in this direction, we are in this direction, creating silos. They're creating, I know there are different dynamics. Sales is quick, sales needs things tomorrow, yesterday. Whereas
Yep.
marketing is long-term brand building and all these things that take time, and they do take time, even with all the AI things we have at hand, they still take
Mhm.
time because they follow people thinking process, and people still think the way they did 100 years ago, right? We haven't accelerated our thinking processes, right? And so like I said, the bigger the company, the more issues with those connections. But my standpoint is that we really need to kind of put aside those. Of course, everybody should work on their specific initiatives and tasks, but
Yeah.
really try to get together more often. Communication solves everything. I mean, communications for plus
Mm.
20 years, and this is where I see like a lot of even through other industry, a lot of the problems are solved just with communication. So when you sit sales and marketing together, when they actually go and analyze, okay, how do we actually sell, what do we do, where do we go, who is doing what, like what kind of support do we need in this segment of the process or in this segment of the process, then they start to understand each other better. There's a
Mhm.
lot of saying in my I wanted to add this, there's a lot of saying in my marketing community. Every marketer should be a seller once, like once in their career they should try to sell something. That's super hard, and it's and then marketers would come in and say, hey, salespeople, you should try to do marketing. That's freaking hard. you know
I
and
love
both
it.
are right, but like I said, they just need to sit down together, analyze their process. They're part of the same process, right?
I
It
love
starts
that.
with marketing but ends with sales. It's the same process, so just kind of align those things better and you'll be good.
Yeah, I love. As a seller, Microsoft IBM, I always try to understand how the marketing team works and try to connect with them, and what their challenges. Just at least talk, right, and
Yeah,
see what's in the other world, because you're right. Like if you haven't done, then it's really really hard to understand.
exactly. Here's one very tactical and practical example.
Hmm.
Win wires and case studies, right? So salespeople
Hmm.
like to have win wires. They like to have this little one pager where they
Yeah.
have all the challenges and solutions and results in a very very short format. So they're kind of, they can inform maybe a prospect on the call, or even a sales call, upsell, whatever, to okay, this is how we've done it and everything. But if you don't get enough time to actually go through your win wire, if you don't like, if it's maybe not landing as you wish, what really helps is a case study, a full-blown story that's going to make the connection on that
Mm.
emotional human level for the people who are really interested. Of course, you're not going to push it to somebody who is still not kind of seeing you as somebody they want to work with. But if they're really interested and they're kind of on the fence, I think a really well done case study, not just any type, could absolutely, and this is content marketing in a way, right? It's a
Mhm.
piece that a marketer should produce, but it's super closely supporting the sales process, right? So that's just one example, and there are many like that.
Yeah, I love it. Let's try to dive one level down to the seller. Like we're like a lot of those people listening to this right now, they're in tech sales or they're trying to get into tech sales. Um, how do they? Um, I made some notes here. I'm gonna read from my note. How do they go from invisible to what is that? Irresistible. Like right, what this idea of yeah, like how do they go from building their personal brand? How do they market? They are a product, right? How do they market themselves better? Because I think like I saw that in my personal experience. I was very active on LinkedIn, and then because of that, I'll jump on calls. The partners knew my name, clients like they knew I had kids, and it just built trust like automatically. And I feel like they're so busy at their work. Sometimes the sellers and corporate it doesn't really promote that much.
Yeah.
They're trying to do that better, like build your personal brand. Like they don't think too much like about that. So can you give us some advice to the sellers who are trying to be like more visible and
Mhm.
without being a celebrity, right?
Oh, absolutely. You don't need to be a celebrity. You just need to be the expert that you are and talk
Mm,
about the stuff that you know, but in a very consistent, strategic way if you want to get the attention of those people you want. It's not about, attracting too many followers, thousands of them, or like source a lot of likes or what have you in terms of engagement to your posts. It's about being visible and kind of shown to the same people over and over and over again that you want. Again,
mm,
it's very strategic, it's very targeted. And there are systems how to do it through LinkedIn. Absolutely, LinkedIn is still the biggest business platform. So you can definitely make those connections through the platform. But the first step is definitely building yourself into that expert that people can start trusting. So before you, I'm not sure about you, but I despise the cold pitches I get through DMs from people who
yeah.
I have no idea what I do, if I would even be kind of, borderline interested in their services, but they're still pitching, they're still there, they're still pushing. So that's not the way. There are
Mm,
many, many other, tactics to use. There are a lot of social selling programs out there. There are some employee advocacy, for example, even tools and programs to use.
mm,
I actually developed some of my own for
oh,
many, yeah, for a
nice.
mini, let's call it a mini employee advocacy program. I called it the authority team building.
Oh,
And it's about actually training a little brand ambassador team within a company. So let's say leadership who is kind of out there actually making those business connections, trying to, make new business and land new deals and make expand their connection and networks. And so they can definitely work together, but what it's important is that the content strategy that's kind of on a company level can be kind of shared through their personal voices, but there needs to be that personal element. They need to be them.
mm,
If they're
mm,
just resharing posts, as many employees do, that's not going to create the effect that we want. And the effect that we want is to turn those sellers into trusted advisors.
love that.
Right? Is that like the holy grail of the sales kind of expertise personality that you want to
Yeah,
kind of demonstrate, right?
yeah.
So that takes a bit of time and effort and a lot of, there's a learning curve to do it. But I try to simplify the process into this little program that I offer, and not for too many, because you'll never get like, I don't know how many hundred people in the company doing that, and you don't need to. They can only be
Uh-huh.
supporters. They can only share stuff as many people do. But for those who are more
Mm,
actively involved in the sales process and who are like the faces of the company, I would definitely advise them to build what we call the personal brand. By the way, I don't like
mm.
that term. I never use it,
Yeah, it's so
even though
confusing.
it's it. No, yeah, I don't use it. Quick story why.
Yeah.
I do both personal and company content strategies. Okay, and as I was learning myself a little bit more about going deeper into that, and I was practicing that, I noticed one very important element is that when you build a brand, there are some layers that you can connect, and there are some elements of the process that are very similar. But to be a person and to be a company as a brand is a very different thing. There are different elements to your content strategy that go. And so I think people cannot be brands. We're way too unpredictable for that. We are way too dynamic and, human, and that's what we should stay. And the
Mm,
brand is something you can actually put through a very, rigid system and define different things and topics and colors and what have you, right?
yeah, I like that.
People who are doing that with their brand, I think, are losing the authentic part in a
Mm,
way, right? They're kind of chipping off that authenticity that they're trying to reflect there. So there needs to be some caution around it. But, it's just semantics, basically. But this is why I don't like to use
yeah,
it.
I heard something before that says humans are trying to be corporate and corporate are trying to be humans. Is that sort of the lines of what he's
It's
saying?
interesting. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because the trend is moving towards that personal level of communication. So the trend is kind of pushing companies to think about their, like I said, either leadership or some, specific experts that are willing to be exposed and that are actually doing the business. I mean, kind of promoting it mostly. To kind of really push in that direction, because let's say on LinkedIn, the corporate profile, it doesn't get much attention, engagement,
Mm,
or what you would want. You need to kind of be there present, kind of stay top of mind. That's all good, but you cannot count on the fact that through that profile you're going to get people interested that much
mm,
if you're not selling Lululemon, leggings or something like that. That's a different thing, right? But in B2B, things don't work like that. People make connections, right? People make
yep,
relationships. And so you need to have your people out there to do it for you, right?
I love it.
Because, yeah.
I love it. So when I was Microsoft, I was big into that, and then you probably know Carson Heady.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. I think,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we're kind of like big into social brand and building our presence online, but honestly, we're kind of the only ones at that time, and everybody's like it, but they hesitated. Why do you think um, people hesitate to do something that then at the end of the day is just going to be helpful for their work, for their personal life, right? I'm always intrigued by that. It's just the personality. They're like maybe introvert, or they don't feel like, or they feel like it's like they have to be the next blue badge on LinkedIn, and then they're like, nah, this is not for me. What do you think?
Great question. Well, of course, there's not one answer that's covering
Yeah,
it
no,
all, because
no.
people are different. Yes, there's some introversy definitely involved. So a lot of the people don't want to kind of put themselves out there. They just want to do their job. They might even feel that's an extra work for them that they're not getting paid for. There are people who are kind of seeing it that way. So,
Mhm.
in respect, right? It's their viewpoint. The other problem I'm seeing a lot is that actually companies are those that are blocking people from posting.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
They actually want to do it. They understand the meaning behind it. They understand the power they can get, through reaching to very specific people and building new deals, landing new deals. But the company is actually afraid that they're going to overshare sensitive information, that they're going to get
Yeah.
headhunted and snatched by somebody else because they're exposing themselves. There are,
Yeah.
there's a lot of trust involved in all this, honestly.
Yeah.
And
Just
so there are a lot of different problems. And then one of the, I would say, biggest problem, even for those who are, open to those systems where, their people should be posting, they should be out there, all that. They're on board with the idea. People are maybe kind of willing, okay, let's do it. But they're getting blocked because they don't know what to post. They don't have a
mm,
system, a support system. They get too busy. So
get
they might
involved.
even, they stop and they drop the practice. They don't know how to build their profile into the one that's actually, they could look like a funnel, honestly. You can really kind of create it so that somebody, when they're landing there and they're interested in what you do can actually go there's like a journey that people typically go through as they land to somebody's profile. So I meant to say, like, there's a lot of specific knowledge around LinkedIn that people miss and don't have, which is
Yeah,
normal. And
there's a,
then they do nothing, right?
it's a huge gap, and then you are right on the right spot, right place, and you what you do is super needed for
Yeah, thank you.
organizations to
Yeah,
have. You don't have
but
maybe you don't have the time to do the training, right? The enablement to the employees, so they need to outsource.
and honestly, even people who are going to the training, they could be like super interested in the beginning, but then again, they get super busy. They think of it as, that's my like a second job to me now, right? It's like, I need
You know,
to
get
put
compensated,
in the
right?
effort, which I'm not really feeling to. So, there are a lot of things, but definitely worth it. Definitely worth it for the company, for the
Yeah,
business that they all share, for the revenue
yeah,
ultimately.
I agree. I agree. Once corporations understand that, organizations that it's a win-win, and then we're gonna see more and more. Now with like I know AI is a buzzword. I know that, but it's probably now a lot of people are building content with AI, right? It's just like there's no original thought, or they are just like even the comments, or like I personally think that it's gonna be so flooded and busy. It's gonna be hard to even for you to differentiate if you do not build that personal brand that we talked about, if you do not build that uniqueness, then you're gonna be just on the dark. Like you won't be
Yeah,
seen at all because there's gonna be so much information there. Uh,
it's already happening.
yeah, what's it? I know we're coming to an end here, which is a bummer because it is going so fast. We can talk for so long. The Yeah, let's dive into a little bit into AI in your world of marketing and tech sales. Like, what do you see out there? How do you foresee the future and the things you do?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm a good futurist, but I can see already that. So I would say AI is completely turning upside down marketing and sales, the way
Mm,
we learned to do it, in the previous kind of phase and let's say decade. I know I mean, in marketing, it's completely changing things in sales as well. Like with agents, people are not trying to, replace SDRs, which I think is a terrible idea.
mm,
But okay, I do understand there are parts of the process in sales, as it is in marketing, that you can
automate.
complement AI to, the daunting, stupid, boring stuff that you need to do. Those are the parts where we need to start experimenting how to actually implement AI into those workflows. However, as everything started with writing and with that kind of articulation of everything, this is where it kind of went very fast in that direction. I think too fast.
Mm,
What I do is I definitely use AI every day.
yeah,
I
everyone.
try to experiment how to really use it the right way. Because as a writer, I obviously don't need it, but I use it to help other people who are not writers,
Mm,
throughout the ecosystem that I work in, but also even broader, to tell them, what I learned as a writer, like what should they leave to themselves, and where is that part of the process where they can utilize those tools, right?
mm,
So I'm trying to kind of find that balance. I'm not now I would be never saying, hey, just put like 3 words and leave it up to the tool to write your blog post, your LinkedIn post, whatever you want, right? That's terrible because
mhm.
that's going to get the outputs that we constantly see around, and
Yeah.
not to mention comments. Comments are the worst use of AI, in my opinion.
Mm,
um the thing about finding that balance is that to recognize the elements that you need to put into your write-up, into your video, into any type of content, that needs to be you, that needs to make the connection. Marketing messaging is all about connection.
mm,
So if we replace that entirely with AI slop, there's not going to be any connection. And companies
mm,
are already seeing that. Those who have hasted a little bit and kind of fired all the writers and maybe even the
Uh,
entire marketing department, and then overburdened that one person that's now doing it all and trying to orchestrate and build agents, and then they
Good
break because
administrator.
it's just crazy. But definitely, as you asked me about the future coming, I do see more of these processes kind of handed over to AI tools. But I think the as in sales, where you need to make that, relationship, that connection, the, where you kind of impact that final decision to buy. I
Hmm.
think the most successful process does include a human, uh, like agent SDRs. I just don't believe in that. I would
Hmm.
never buy anything from. I would never. I don't know.
Maybe the new generation, the future, grew up with
Yeah,
all the
maybe.
don't even know, right? What's the difference? They're
That
gonna
can
be
be
like, "Oh, the
maybe.
human all people. I
Yeah, they
don't
do
know.
make interviews. They make interviews now.
Right.
They, yeah, yeah. And I
Uh,
didn't know about it until like 5, 6 months ago, because I was looking at, throughout these different tech events, and they would be maybe showing, co-pilot agents, how they put together emails and orders, and some kind of repetitive processes. How can they automate that? And that was quite a fascinating, and it was cool.
yeah.
But then I heard, but now you have, like, not in the Microsoft world, but some other vendors, third party vendors, producing these agent SDRs, who are coming, like they do. I think they already do lists of potential prospects. They reach,
Yeah,
they
I've seen
go
that.
through
Yeah.
different channels to reach. If they set up a call, they interview them. Actually, I don't know how that looks like, but I can imagine. And yeah, they there. And then I saw a post the other day from a guy who was really transparent and vulnerable. And he said, well, we had an agent and it ruined things for us. We're taking it down. No, 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 give us people back.
That's
So
the that. Yeah, it's unpredictable. The stuff is changing so fast, and you have to pick and choose what you can even adapt, right, and try. Like it's
exactly. That's why I
we're like
can
the
predict
early stage
it.
adopters, right?
It's
Yeah, I think it's completely changed. Like you're coming from the writing world, communication. I also have a degree in communication. Very interesting. Very interesting how
yeah,
things are gonna go. I'm excited. I
too.
like change.
Try to be optimistic, honestly. But I do see, there are some things that are just bad, right? They're just bad, and they're moving too fast for us to slow them down and improve them on time. They just kind of went, oh, that ship has sailed.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know. We just need to stay
Yeah, that's
human and kind of stay grounded. That's what I think.
that's the goal. So I wrote down some lines here, like the tech sells through the lens of content strategy, pivoting with purpose, AI authenticity, and future of sales. We talked a little bit about it, from invisible to irresistible. Now, just like as a wrapping one bold piece of advice, something I like about you, your communication style is very very direct, and whatever's in your head, I noticed that in the first 5 minutes we talked, and you do have your opinion, and it is what it is. So here we go, Eva. Piece of advice for tech sellers who are trying to build their personal brand. Which word do you like to use on that? Like, is that a specific expression,
Yeah,
or you trying to
I
figure out?
use expert presence or digital presence, or
Okay,
yeah,
I like the video
personal
presence a lot.
brand or something like that. That's better.
I love that a lot. Uh, so for those tech sellers out there who are trying to build a digital presence and thought authority on on this digital world, so you don't get confused by an AI, or even for the organizations who are lost and don't know what to do with this whole transformation, what do you tell them?
Okay, two layers. If they're just starting out to build their expert presence and their kind of digital footprint as an expert in certain area, and they're trying to reach the right people, try to build authority by sharing a lot of a lot of your company's experience, a lot of the things you've done, like a lot of the things that no AI can pick up anywhere and scramble together into this generic
Mm,
post. So it needs to be a very original kind of approach to the topic. So the topic can be generic, but the approach should be coming from you or your team, right? So try to think in those terms, be original. And then as you kind of build that more, as you maybe are starting to develop, like I said, certain opinions, certain knowledge that is really kind of, looking at the future, and people start to look up to you to actually ask you about advice and that kind of thing, that's where you start to build your thought leadership. And it's different than, for example, SME, so subject matter expertise, in the way that where the thought leader is a bit the bird view type of guy. So it's less practical, but more of a bird view type of person who is trying to actually provide like the breadth of, maybe predictions, maybe, some of the things that are summarizing the experience that person has over many, many years in a sector, for example. And that's where you need to be bold. You need to be different. So it's not only enough to be original. You need to be bold. You go with the contrarian, take. Go with some observation that nobody else has. And that's super difficult, honestly. It's very hard to build that thing. And it takes time to hone your voice, to clear up your thoughts, to be able to create that kind of content. But like I said, that's maybe like an advanced level. But even, building authority can be built also on a more like let's say simpler level, where
Yeah.
you just need to be as original as possible in
Wow.
sharing the.
It's amazing. I love it. Everything you're saying here is stuff that I believe. So, and I'm trying to teach people also because I coach tech sellers to get jobs, right? And on the job search process, I tell them you need more visibility. People need to know who you are, but who you are, you're unique. You're like, and I try to coach them, like, maybe you should start considering posting on LinkedIn and doing this kind of stuff. And we need to definitely talk more, Eva.
Yeah, definitely.
Cross-collaborate here in our efforts. How can people find you? Like, do you have a program where people can, like, if they want to hear more about whoever is listening to this, like, how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Well, best way currently is through LinkedIn. If I need to revamp my website, so that's why I'm not recommending it for the current time. But yeah, so LinkedIn might be the best way, or I don't know if you have like an email is definitely something I always check. So yeah, those would be the best channels.
Perfect. Fine, Eva. Her LinkedIn is awesome. I just checked right before this call. I sent her a DM connect. She posts about, all the stuff that we talked about yesterday. And that was amazing, Eva. We passed the time. But
Yeah,
it
we
was a
talked.
conversation. That's how I like it, and I hope everyone enjoyed. This is it for today, everyone. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye, everyone.
That's it. Thank you. Let me stop the recording here. Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks for tuning in to the Tech Sales Funnels podcast, where we crack the code and uncover the strategies to break into tech sales. If you found value in today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to hack their way into this exciting career. Remember, hacking into tech sales isn't just a goal, it's a mission. Let's keep hacking, learning, and winning together. Catch you next time.